Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're setting out to fundamentally redefine what it actually means to have true, undeniable presence. I want you to take a second and visualize someone you know. Maybe it's a colleague, a friend, or even a public figure. You know the type, right? The person who can command an entire room without saying a single word. They just walk in and the energy completely shifts. So what is their secret? For decades, we've been fed a very specific, kind of exhausting image of what a charismatic person looks and sounds like. We picture the life of the party, the person dominating the conversation, the one waving their hands and demanding all the attention. But what if we've had it completely wrong this whole time? What if the actual science of human connection points in the exact opposite direction? Today, we are breaking down the profound psychology behind pure charisma.
Okay, let's dive into this. We've all been sold the myth of extroversion. The idea that charisma requires being the loudest, most dominant person in the room. But psychology tells us a completely different story. The science of human behavior reveals that real charisma isn't about talking more, putting on a performance, or projecting your voice over everyone else. It's actually entirely about magnetism. It is that subtle, underlying ability to make people naturally want to be around you. It's not about demanding attention. It's about naturally drawing it in.
Section 1. The Charisma Myth and Redefining Presence. Moving into Section 2, the contagious calm effect. This is all about mastering your internal state.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it gets to the core psychological hook of all this, mastering your own internal state. Because the truth that emerges from psychological study after psychological study is that some of the most incredibly charismatic people on the planet are actually surprisingly quiet. They aren't fighting for the spotlight, yet they somehow just own it. How is that possible? Well, it all comes down to mastering your own internal baseline. And that brings us to the concept of emotional contagion, which happens to be our very first sign of pure charisma. Your mood influences the room. Think about this for a second. If I just slow my speaking pace down right now, if I drop my voice just a little bit, you instantly feel a shift in the energy. Psychology proves that emotions are literally contagious. When you are genuinely calm, anchored, and grounded, other people around you actually begin to seem calmer too. You're effectively transmitting your own nervous system to the people around you.
It happens in a split second. When you walk into a room and you're genuinely smiling and at peace, the entire atmosphere just feels lighter. But why exactly does this happen? Well, it comes down to something in our brains called mirror neurons. As humans, our nervous systems are designed to constantly scan our environment and sync up with the people around us. So when someone walks into a room radiating this grounded, anchored peace, our mirror neurons fire and we naturally begin to mimic that exact state. Truly charismatic individuals influence the emotional tone of a room simply by existing in it. They don't have to try, they don't have to tell a perfectly timed joke or make some grand entrance. By mastering their own internal state of calm, they basically become a tuning fork for the rest of the group. Everyone else just naturally adjusts to their frequency.
Let's move to Section 3 and see how this builds into creating emotional safety, which is the absolute foundation of connection.
When you project that contagious calm we were just talking about, you aren't just making people feel relaxed. You are actively creating a psychological safe haven. You're signaling to their brains that they are safe with you. And that leads us to the second sign of pure charisma. People open up to you quickly. Think about a time you met someone for the very first time, and within mere minutes, they were telling you deeply personal stories or sharing things they admit they don't usually tell anyone else. Psychology suggests that humans naturally open up when they feel emotionally safe. If this happens to you regularly, it is one of the absolute strongest signs of genuine charisma. You've bypassed their social defenses just by providing a safe, calm harbor.
This deeply embedded sense of safety brings us to the third and, honestly, probably the most profound indicator on our list. It is the rarest sign of all. People feel completely comfortable being themselves around you. Now, why is this so rare? Because in almost all of our social interactions, we are constantly managing our image. We're running this exhausting background script, trying to figure out how we're being perceived. But around a truly charismatic person, that pressure completely evaporates, simply because people do not feel judged in your presence.
Emotional safety completely strips away all the exhausting theatrics of perfect appearances. Think about the last time you were at a high-pressure networking event, or maybe a party where you didn't really know anyone. You were probably intensely curating every single word you said, trying to appear smart, successful, and interesting, right? It's entirely draining. But when you create a truly calm environment, people realize there is absolutely no need to impress you. They can laugh freely, they can speak honestly without editing their thoughts first, they can just relax completely. Psychology shows us that this level of emotional safety is one of the most powerful forms of charisma in existence, purely because it is the exact soil required to grow genuine, authentic human connection.
Section 4. The power of quiet influence and building lasting social capital. When you consistently provide this emotional safety and contagious calm, you aren't just having pleasant conversations, you're actually building massive, lasting social capital over time. And this brings us to the mechanics of quiet influence, which is the foundation of sign number 4. People remember you after just one meeting. Weeks later, someone remembers your name, a specific conversation you had, or even just something small and thoughtful you said. How does that happen if you weren't the one dominating the conversation? Because psychology suggests that memorable interactions are almost always created by emotional impact, not by the sheer volume of words spoken. People remember exactly how safe and calm you made them feel long after they forget exactly what you said. The loudest person in the room is often forgotten the moment they leave, but the grounded, calm person, they linger in our memory.
And because of that lasting emotional impact, we see our fifth and final sign. People naturally ask for your opinion. Whether you're at work, at school, or just navigating everyday life, you'll find that people consistently turn to you and ask, "What do you think?" You become a natural sounding board for the people in your life, often without even volunteering your advice in the first place.
And this brilliantly illustrates a fundamental truth of human psychology. We only seek advice from people we genuinely trust and respect. If others regularly pause to value your opinion, it's a massive indicator that your presence carries real weight. And that weight doesn't come from being loud, aggressive, or overly opinionated. It comes directly from that calm, anchored presence we've been talking about this whole time. When you don't feel the need to shout to be heard, people naturally lean in to listen. Your quiet stability makes your words infinitely more valuable.
Finally, Section 5, the charisma test. Leaving them better.
We've completely stripped away the myth of the loud, dominant extrovert and revealed the quiet, magnetic power of the internally grounded individual. So the crucial point is this. Pure charisma is an invisible architecture you build around others. It's about creating an experience people remember. It's about helping others feel profoundly safe. It's about influencing the mood through your own contagious calm. It's about quietly earning trust. Ultimately, it is about leaving people better than you found them. There's a massive difference between the person everyone notices first because they're making the most noise and the person nobody ever forgets after they leave.
When you look at the science of emotional safety and the undeniable power of a contagious calm, it completely changes how we measure our own presence, doesn't it? Look back at the signs we've covered today. I really want you to think about your own interactions, your own quiet influence. Which of these signs is your biggest indicator of real charisma? Take a moment to reflect on that. Thanks so much for joining us for this explainer, and we will see you next time.